Can do, John.
Okay, I'm in line to get my mic there.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, call this meeting to order at 4:02, October 18th. Does the administration have anything to add to
No.
the agenda? No? Go ahead, Bruce.
I'll make a motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
All those in favor?
In favor, Tracy.
Okay, thanks.
In favor.
That's carried. Okay, we'll go to the minutes of the last meeting. Is there any?
Just have a question of clarification for administration. We have 3.1 adoption of minutes and 3.2 adoption of minutes. Are we supposed to be adopting two or?
No, that's just,
No.
just a typo.
Just a type.
Okay,
Okay, so can we have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we adopt the minutes as presented.
Okay, all those in favor?
Tracy in favor.
John in favor.
Thank you. Well, that's carried. All right, we'll move right on to 5.1, the development permit application 5080-2023. Go ahead.
060s, I think that's what you said.
060. Sorry.
The applicant owns a 9.24 acre parcel with the legal description of part of East 195811 west of the 5th and Plan 1025167 Block 1 Lot 13. This application is for a personal use small animal boarding breeding kennel facility, which is a discretionary use in country residential. The applicant single-family dwelling houses the 7 small dogs, and 2 larger dogs are housed in outside dog houses. The dog bylaw was exceeded and applied for additional, only approved up to 5, which would be 2 extra. Our dog bylaw allows 3. This development permit application allows for the owners to keep all 9. It was referred to our Lac St. Anne peace officers for comments, as they were the ones that sort of initiated this process.
John said to bring this down to you.
Okay, thank you. His comments are attached for your reference. He kind of provided some additional conditions potentially to this development permit. It is a discretionary use and was advertised for 2 weeks in local newspapers, and letters were sent to adjacent landowners for opportunity to comment or to attend the meeting. There were 2 letters of concern received to date. Both are attached. I'm just going to read this real quick. They were planning on attending, but they were no longer able to attend. That's basically it. It was one of the letters, just letting me know that. Sorry for that delay. It was
from the party that?
It was from one of the letters I've already received. They were planning on attending and did not. They could not, fortunately. So I have the proposed development permit for the boarding kennel is a discretionary use and pursuant under Section 21, Section 1E. It is being referred to the Municipal Planning Commission without a recommendation, and I have provided you with conditions to approve or reasons to refuse the development permit. Would you like me to read through those? Do you have any questions or comments?
Through the
Just a question from John. Why, procedurally, why was there no recommended action given?
Because I don't need to provide a recommendation if I want the Municipal Planning Commission to discuss and come to the reasoning. I think that's what this committee is meant for these sort of situations when we don't necessarily have the right or wrong answer. I think it's tough for both the applicant and the adjacent landowners to make the right choice. So I just wanted to put that out there. I gave you both the reasons, and it's well within my abilities in the land use bylaw to do so.
Thank you.
Okay, through the chair to Peter, so just a couple of questions. And in going through some of the concerns that I have, and actually I guess it's more to the committee, to the whole group, is basically my concern is if we deny the permit, then we're gonna have, then the permit applicant is gonna have to rehome 6 dogs. If 2 of the 3 of dogs that they decide to keep are the large dogs, the issues of the barking at night and the risk to the chickens are likely gonna continue to be a concern for the neighbors. So that's one of the concerns that I have, is that even in denying the permit, it may not make the problem go away for the neighbors. As a pet owner and a landowner, I really feel for everybody involved in this. The other thing that, if we approve the permit with the conditions, then my concern is that basically it says, the permit can be suspended at any time the development authority is of the opinion the enjoyment or value of the neighboring properties are being affected. It will most likely only delay the problems and still result in the removal of 6 dogs in the future. So I don't necessarily see that as being a solution. That being said, in a perfect world, I'd like to deny the kennel application and recommend that a bylaw officer approve a new over-limit permit with different specifications, but we don't have the ability to do that at this table. For that reason, I would like to bring the suggestion that we discuss approving the kennel permit with adding these additional conditions. Specifically, that the permit holders be allowed to retain the 4 spayed females, the 6 small dogs, 4 spayed females, 1 neutered male, and 1 intact male. Specifically, dog tags 1152, 1153, 1155, 1156, 1157, and 1158. This will ideally reduce or remove any disruption to the neighboring properties and remove the concerns of breeding and further increasing the number of dogs in the area. Also, the small dogs that in question that we're talking about are 3 to 15 years of age, and this is a family with 5 children. I can't imagine having to give up my 12-year-old dog. That being said, this would still require them to get rid of the 2 large dogs and the 1 puppy that's unregistered that wasn't part of this registration process. But that's unfortunately the least offensive to all parties involved solution that I could propose.
Through the chair to Peter, can we put a condition in that once the dogs expire, they can't replace them?
So you're saying like once these 9 and say they pass away or something happens, then they can't go, so it's these specific 9 dog tags
Yes.
would be the 9 permitted? I'm sure we could do that. And I don't see a reason why not. I did put a maximum of 9, but I understand what you're saying, where they could just, if one leaves, and they could get another one. I'm sure I could reference a specific dog tag number like that to the 9 dogs. I would like to say that the applicants have been super, I don't know the word, they've been very forthcoming and helpful to the peace officers in this situation. Like they are new to the community. When was their development permit pulled? Like within a year?
June or July,
Yeah, I think maybe a year and a bit ago. So
just this June, July.
I do think that the problem is those dogs, the larger dogs, finding a way out. And if there was, and if they had to be contained when nobody's around or et cetera. I do know that a lot of dogs, especially these country residential dogs, there are outdoor dogs that wander. But when it becomes a problem, then I understand I want to be able to control it, and I think there are measures to be able to control it.
Yeah, I was just gonna kind of what you're saying there. Like I know personally, I've had larger dogs. I've had some that will say complaints from neighbors and stuff too, because they're supposed to be at home and they're 2-3 houses down, and it comes on to the property owner also. My dogs are no longer there. They ran off of an issue. The neighbors complained. We got rid of them. I feel for these people. They have these dogs, but if they're going to continuously leave their property and go to their neighbors, unfortunately, as harsh as it is for the family and for their kids, the responsible thing before it causes any issues or more issues and hard feelings for the family or the neighbors or that community around there would be to try to possibly either, if they can't keep them there, rehome them to some place that has more room that the animals can move to. I mean, it's, I just kind of feel like
There's a
we're
hand up on the screen, just so you know.
kind of sitting around, we're kind of debating on responsible ownership
No,
at this point.
that's why I think this is a good thing for discussion too. And
Yeah.
Tracy, you have your hand up?
Yeah, I do, thank you very much. I also have a concern with refusing this. I'm concerned because we have a bylaw put in place for a lot of reasons, and this is one of them. And the neighbors have obviously expressed their concerns. And I think that we need to listen to that as well.
Okay. I guess, the question that I would have is that, under the planning commission, we can put conditions on, but the question that I have for this group is, under our bylaw, if the animals meet the requirement, then, like if it meets the requirement of whatever is within that, and we set and say that these are the conditions that we are operating under, then it becomes personal responsibility. I don't think that for us, it's really, we just set out the guidelines, and if you don't meet the guidelines, then you've overstepped the boundary. And so I don't know if this should be a discussion of as much telling them what to do with their dogs is saying that these are the concerns that we have. These are the conditions that we have to apply, and now it's your baby. And the consequence of those, if the bylaw officer has to come and take a dog because you're not taking care of it. I know as a farmer, we put up fences, and if they're not good enough, we put up better fences, and if those aren't good enough, we have to put up better ones. That's just the way it is. And because it is our responsibility to take care of the condition that we don't infringe upon somebody else's privacy or responsibility. So I think that you can approve this permit with those conditions, but then those conditions have to be met. So they're not, that's
which
how I see
is
it.
kind of like what I'm not speaking for Dustin, but in his last paragraph here, he is in favor of this development permit as somebody who has been working closely with both the families, and it's kind of this permit was kind of his last way of allowing them to shapen up and smarten up to be able to keep all their dogs. I mean, it is a privilege to have 9 dogs, but this is kind of, if it's something that they really want, and that we can set conditions that we feel are comfortable for the neighbors to be able to at least see if things change, and if they don't change, then I know Officer Jendrick would support me in a stop order if there was more complaints.
That's fair.
To the chair, the role of this committee is to do the development permit with the conditions that are there, or ones that we add. It's not the responsibility of this committee to tell them what to do with their dogs. That's why we have bylaw enforcement. So, we're out of our wheelhouse, so we're trying to tell them that we won't give them a permit unless they keep the dogs in the fence. That's bylaw to do that. So I think I'm gonna be in favor of it.
Any other questions? I'd be happy to discuss.
Any other questions, any other discussion?
Uh,
Patricia?
And basically exactly that. Then it just goes to, if we go ahead and approve it, then the neighbors can go ahead and at any time.
Of
and-
course, if there's,
Absolutely.
on a complaint, then I typically issue a 2-week warning letter. And then with that, there will be a date set for that problem to be eradicated. If it's not eradicated after that date, then a stop order is issued. That's how that all works. And with that, there can come fines, there can come removal of dogs. That's sort of more on down the line problem on which sort of enforcement we'd like to go down, but that is how that would go.
Okay.
Just one more question here, and this comes off one of the letters. If the development permit doesn't really state, we'll say, the size of what they're planning and building, I'm just wondering if you have an idea, like what size account are we talking? Something that's
So I didn't provide. They didn't apply for any additional structures,
Okay.
which is something that Officer Gendrick would like to see. Like not even, it doesn't have to be a structure, but even like an interior fence, runaround area where they go when there's nobody around to watch them or at night. I believe that's what he said. I can't. Recommend they have a structure with a high fence compound dog run area for the dogs to be placed into with no was to escape. I would also like to see it insulated for winter months to be compliant with adequate shelter. So either like a large, we can make that be a requirement that they have their dog houses fenced in to a smaller area, keep that 25 meters from the property line. That would be something that a traditional kennel is required to have, not just a personal use to be able to go over your dog limits. That's
Sorry, can you please repeat what that 25 meters you
So
said?
yeah, I was looking at old conditions to do, and you could keep a fenced area, a fenced run area, 25 meters from the property line would be one of the conditions. That might have been for like a larger parcel, but we can set it an appropriate distance or however we feel fit. And in the fence height requirements, that sort of thing too.
So how would we go about that today?
We could word a condition however you guys would like. It could, I should have pulled an example, but it was out today. It could be dog run area to be fenced. I don't know how tall of a fence, 5 feet, 6 feet.
What's a typical kennel?
6-foot fence, 25 meters or 15 meters away from property line, and no escape to provide no escape for outside animals. I didn't exactly see, but we can word it however you guys would like. That's just my quick.
Through the chair. Like, what I did at my place, I built a 10 by 20 dog run with a concrete floor with a roof on it.
Mm-hmm.
So if we weren't there, the dog went in there and there was no way for her to escape or anything else to get in the kennel either.
Right.
So I think that's being a responsible dog owner. You know, just letting your dogs run through your acreage at night. It's just gonna happen. They're gonna get out sooner or later and cause some havoc. So.
Yeah, we can't blame the dog,
No.
and that's kind of where we're headed.
Yeah.
So,
It
and I
is the
agree,
owner's
we built a
responsibility.
kennel for our dog as well. If we're not there, he goes in the kennel.
My only concern is if we pass this for them and they have the number of dogs that they're continuing to have and the large dogs, and say we put up all the stipulations we want to, and they build whatever, they have it there, but that doesn't mean that they're gonna be using it. They can have it there to comply, to try to make, I'm not saying that's what's gonna happen,
No.
but you can have the structure, the fencing, everything in place to keep your dogs within. But if you're not putting them in and walking them up at night, we're still gonna be back to this issue with and the complaints that the neighbors have.
Sure.
It's,
But I think then would that not be then when bylaw enforcement takes over and we put a stop order?
or
You know, I think
no,
that's.
I understand,
yeah.
but what I'm also saying is we have,
Yeah.
in our bylaws, you're only allowed so many animals, per unit, and so
Yeah.
many dogs and whatnot currently,
For a reason.
which we haven't, for these reasons and stuff, which we haven't,
No.
haven't looked at. And it says, it
Right.
even says in his letter, he's kind of let it go, like, which, do we, make a, exception so that he can continue what he's doing outside of what the bylaws accept? Or do we leave it to the bylaws officer to do
Yeah.
enforcement? Like, I don't feel sorry for them. I mean, a pet, especially long-term pets, is a long-term pet, but I don't want to, I'm not against approving this.
No.
If they're going to follow this and keep the animals home. But I would hate to approve this and have them basically go through the steps to try to, as a smoke screen to make everybody happy, but not go ahead with this and end up with, like, some of the letters in there are talking about pet attacks and chicken attacks and, not just direct neighbors, but further down too, so.
And
Yeah.
I mean,
This definitely isn't easy.
there is something to be said about free range chickens as well. I'm not saying that your dog should ever get on somebody else's property, but the chicken should be contained too.
Yep.
So it does go both ways, and I understand what you're saying here, Councillor Cush, but from my point of view, is that approving this, or approving it to a certain extent even, will allow maybe sort of a wake-up call, and then if they don't, it's red tape, it's money they've spent, they're gonna have to spend some money to follow the conditions that we're gonna set. And if they still are complacent and non-compliant with that, I do think then enforcement would be necessary, but I'm also not recommending we approve it, I'm just providing a little bit of background. Does that make sense? I definitely see your side of it.
Yeah, you're stuck between a rock and a hard place.
Yes, which is, I think we all are.
Through the chair, even in my experience having dogs and building a fence and having a fence to contain my dogs on my acreage, in my experience having children and people coming and going from the property, they leave gates, fences open, the gas people that would come would leave my gate open on a regular basis. And I think we already have 2 large dogs that have a history of going after chickens. Based in my personal experience, I really don't think you're gonna untrain those dogs from wanting to chase those chickens. So that's where I see putting a condition in potentially of retaining just the small dogs is something that, like I said, would provide the least offensive solution for everybody involved in the neighborhood.
Yeah, I know that now with the modern technology too, is that if those big dogs were fitted with a collar, GPS collar, and a shock on them, we did that with our dog. He wore it for probably 2 months. He doesn't leave the yard anymore.
My dog learned where the line was, and he would grin and bear it and run all the way through till he got to the
No,
other
this
side.
one
This
is,
was a great big, large.
yeah, but this one is not a line. This is a GPS. You actually have a GPS perimeter.
Mine
and-
was hardwired around the property.
Yeah, and no, this one here, as soon as he gets over, he doesn't just get it bare. Once he's over, he's in trouble.
I had the
So-
same one.
Yeah.
And $750 at the time for this collar for my shepherd and living on an acreage, and he didn't have a history of leaving the property, but the odd time. Then his coat got thicker, November hit, it went to -30, and they malfunction at cold temperatures, and they don't shock well
Okay.
and make contact through the fur.
No,
And he
that's
went on
true.
somebody else's property and they shot him.
Yeah.
So, and
Well-
I wouldn't want that to happen.
So what's the
either.
what's the wish here? Like, we should probably bring this to a, I think the consensus here is that we'd like to approve it with these conditions and possibly,
Yeah, whatever the conditions are, or
and
I,
I think the conditions, it should be that they're contained. Very simply, that
and the
there's a-
maximum of 9 of those specific collars, we're all okay with that, or Tracy has her hand up.
Tracy?
Yeah, I was just gonna ask, and I can't find it now that I'm looking, but isn't one of the dogs expecting puppies in November? Maybe I think I read that somewhere.
That was in one of the letters from a resident.
Okay, so then what happens when they have puppies?
They would have to get rid of them. So a dog isn't considered over our dog limit until it is 6 months old. So they would have 6 months to get rid of any puppies that were in any litters, and then I would recommend maybe even no more litters. But I don't know how we can control that. But
Go ahead.
Tracy, just through the chair to Tracy, sorry. On the list of the dogs that she registered with the county, all of the females are spayed, and the only thing that it shows of the 8 dogs that were registered is 2 males not fixed, the male shepherd and a male Pomeranian. And there's 1 puppy, from what I understand, that makes up 9 dogs that isn't part of the 8 that were registered. So although one of the letters from
The dog,
oh, sorry, go ahead.
I said, I think that dog's the puppy.
Oh, sorry, you cut out.
You cut
think
out every
the
time
dog is
you-
what?
I said, I think that puppy, it said somewhere it's only 5 months old.
Yeah, agreed. So I'm wondering if the neighbor was maybe misinformed, because on here
it does, in her letter, it does say, I spoke with Alana and she mentioned Pomeranians would be having more litters this fall if they were interested. But I don't know if that's just word of mouth or misinterpretation. Nobody's here to comment, so I don't. I do see what you're saying, though.
Okay, thanks guys for the,
Could we make a stipulation that all the animals have to be spayed or neutered?
I don't know if we can do that.
I don't know.
I think we can just make it
I think-
on the containment.
The contain,
And the numbers.
we can say like they can have puppies, but they have 6 months to get rid of them, and I'm sure those little puppies aren't going to be running around.
Eating chickens.
Yeah,
If we make a condition that, like you were saying, there's 9 tags, but these 9 tags are for these dogs. And as you're saying, if they pass away, those tags don't get continuously renewed until, they get down to where they should be number-wise. I'd be okay with that. It's,
okay. With containment, I'm assuming.
yeah, with obviously, we gotta have,
Yeah.
suitable containment to keep the dogs in when they're not home.
Or secondary containment
Or,
with the 6-foot chain link fence.
and then a moat, and another fence.
Oh dear.
Okay, very underprepared.
Oh, you need a pen, Peter? Here.
And make sure that we look like we're being thoughtful for the residents around them too. It's,
Oh, totally. I don't take their comments lightly.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than having loose dogs coming into your yard.
And some people love their chickens as much as their chihuahuas.
It's true.
We don't need to have this here dog bite.
So how should we make this motion?
So I think what we talked about was to make sure that they have that secondary containment. So that when they're not there, that those dogs are contained.
With 6-foot high chain link
Yeah.
fence. And
And then the condition that
the tags for
the
these.
tags for these dogs go down till they're down to what is the number that is allowed?
3, which I assume numerous people do go over, but it's more dealt with on a complaint
Yeah,
basis. So when the number does, and I'm sure if it was 4 or 5, we would have the officer would have approved, which he did originally approve for the maximum of 5. But this is the one opportunity that they'll have. But I don't think they wanted to just keep 5, so this was their last opportunity to fulfill an application to keep 9.
oh, okay.
I just wanted to clarify as well for the adjacent landowners. So what their course of action is, like obviously, hopefully we'll go through, then they'll be contained and it won't be an issue.
Mm-hmm.
Sitting at it then, so if there's one breach and they call the bylaw, you know, like, essentially, it's just one of those, if we had a way of creating good faith within these neighbors, the neighbors on either side have been there for more than 10 years, then you'd hate to be in the position where they're just waiting, you know, for something to happen.
Right. I think we could set a deadline to have this built, or some sort of thing built. Like, obviously, winter is coming, which is so tough, but I don't know. We could set it 6 months. We could set it 3 months. We could make them stay in the garage in the winter. I don't actually know if you're allowed to do that, but
Thing is, you know, the barking and stuff like that is gonna go on, it doesn't matter. I would probably hazard to guess that if they don't have any outside, shelter for them right now, then the animals are inside
in the winter.
in the wintertime.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we could set a deadline to say, we have to have this done by such and such date, what would be fair.
Through the chair. With the chickens, if they're free-range chickens, they're kind of at fault themselves because free-range chickens, there's coyotes, weasels,
Yeah.
martins, fishers, cougars. The chickens are,
It might, they may have caught the dog may be not only be the only perpetrator.
exactly.
We also gotta watch now when you're talking about the definition of free range, doesn't mean that they're just running around the property.
Oh, yeah, that's-
Yeah.
My birds are considered free range also. I've got a small section with high fences all the way around where they can just wander whatever
Yeah,
they want.
yeah.
Right.
But that's still considered free range and my dogs can't get in.
Yeah.
Okay,
And also, I don't know if every time the dogs are on the property, it's getting a chicken, but it might be something that they like over there. But they are getting it onto the other property, and that's
If they
the
caught
concern
them-
more than the chickens.
So say if they-
I mean, the
got
chickens is the
pictures of
concern.
them catching, you know, even one or two birds, you know, not to say if there's been other birds go missing, it's the same dogs, but you're gonna have that mindset forever. knowing
right,
that-
right.
I agree, we live in the country, there are predators, there are.
So I think then we just say, you know, specify that secondary containment. And I like the idea that,
I would say for a day on that by November 30th.
The end of next month, you think,
Yeah.
is fair?
Yeah, it's, if they wanna get the fencing in, anything
Okay.
past that ground's gonna be frozen, they're not
Yeah,
gonna be able to.
sure.
next year. I would, you know, at least if they're gonna put a fence for secondary containment, at least do something quick enough
Get the
that they can
posts
still get
around.
it done. At least get the post on the ground, it's.
Okay.
I agree.
And specify 6-foot high chain link.
Yeah. 6 foot. Chain
I
link.
know it's a short order, but we're trying to work with them here too, with the
No,
neighbors.
I understand. I am at.
and then would you think that we just make sure that they get back down to the number they're supposed to
As
be?
the tags go down, yeah.
As tax go down?
Yeah.
Does that make sense then?
Sorry, get closer to the number of 3 as.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
The tags not be transferable to another
Yeah.
animal.
Okay. No.
I guess I'll be, I don't know, should this word, but willing to make the, motion to accept the proposed application with, I guess, the additional.
The amended
The
addition.
amended conditions,
Okay.
Or approved.
approve with the amended conditions.
Okay. Thank you. And just so I clarify, I have basically in the maximum 9 dogs allowed condition, I will specify the specific dog tags, the 9 tags, and then I've added a 7th condition, which would be a containment, a 6-foot chain link be built by November 30th. Would you like a setback from that, from the property line, like a 10 meter, 15 meter?
Yeah, I'm not familiar with the property.
I'm not
so-
familiar with the size of the property also, but it's still not, it's still less than 10 acres, just less.
I agree, should have a setback.
Should have a setback.
What would you recommend, Peter?
I'm not super familiar with country residential lots. How wide would a 10 acre lot typically be?
But
Oh, there's lots for 10-meter setback.
So if we
That's
do,
35
we want to do 20 meters then? 20 meter setback from either side?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
Their property is 9.24 acres.
yeah.
20 meters setback from all property sides.
So that's basically 66 feet, right?
I'm going to also add a 40 meter property setback from the front yard. So 20 from the rear, side, rear, side, rear, and 40 from the front.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Anything else?
And built by November 30th.
Okay.
Okay.
So,
I think the additional condition was as well that it's pertaining to only those tags that have been issued for said 9 dogs, right?
Yeah. So,
Actually, 8 dogs and 1 dog that is gonna be expected that they're
Right.
gonna apply for.
for 9 specific dogs. And I will amend. I don't know how to do it without a dog tag, but I will figure
Is-
that out.
I'm sorry, I had written, kind of captured as you were talking, as current dogs pass away, they shall not be replaced until the total number of dogs is down to the maximum number of 3?
yeah,
Something like that one?
Okay.
which is what's allowed on.
Which is part of what our bylaw is.
Which is what the dog bylaw
Okay.
states, yes.
That's fair.
Sorry, through the chair. Just a friendly correction might be, until the maximum number is in compliance with the current bylaw.
Yes.
Because
in
if
case
we're
the
10
dog
years
bylaw-
in advance and that bylaw changes,
Yes.
then you won't have to worry
Great,
about it.
right.
Great point.
Good point. Okay, so we have a motion on the floor. Is there any more discussion? All those in favor?
Mr. Chair, just
John? Yeah, go ahead.
another question.
Go ahead.
Yeah, just as a matter of, I guess, procedure, or whatever, the development permit, so you're expecting to issue this, and then as the attrition goes down, to meet the current number of dogs in the bylaw, is there an expiration? Does then this development permit expire?
It expires when the use is no longer in existence for 6 months. So it would expire when new applicants took over and they didn't have the same dog tags. It would expire,
If the property change stands.
yeah, that sort of thing. It would expire once all those dog tags are no longer alive. Then it would expire 6 months after that. And then they would just be able to go to the maximum of 3 dogs still. That's all. That's the only.
Thank you for that clarification. I just wanted to make sure we weren't gonna have one running that we expected, but it kind of stayed in force, so,
Right.
thank you.
Nope. Good question.
Good question, John. Okay, we still have the motion on the floor. All those in favor?
Tracy's in favor.
Are you good, John?
John is in favor.
Okay, thank you. That motion's carried. Okay, let's move down to subdivision application 2023 UB10.
Okay. Sub 10. Okay. This is a proposed subdivision application to create one small ag holding, 12.35 acres from a 155.99 acre parcel on Northwest 2161.8 west of the 5th. It's up by Goose Lake there, in an A2 parcel. This brings the density on that parcel to 2 parcels per quarter section. The approach to be approved by our infrastructure department and be built to county standards was the comments received from infrastructure. There is an existing septic system, I believe maybe 2, on the existing part remainder. And those will need to be inspected by a provincially accredited agency, and the parcel is over 10 acres, so no soil classification required. It is also over 10 acres, so no water table testing and storm water management required, and the density is under 5 parcels per quarter section, so water availability is not required. No letters of concern were received to date, with letters sent to adjacent landowners. and it was referred to a number of government agencies with, the only comments back to date were from Forestry and Parks, where they recommended a wetland assessment be done on the new parcel to make sure there's a suitable building site, which has been included in the conditions. It is my recommendation that the Municipal Planning Commission approve subdivision 2023 SUB 10 in consideration for the following reasons. And would you like me to read those?
Let me have it.
Not me, I'm good. You good, Bruce? Yeah,
The conditions are good. I'm just prepared to make the motion that we accept subdivision application 2023 sub 10 with the conditions as described.
Okay, is there any discussion over that motion?
Just one question, under the condition for the wetland study.
Yep.
If it comes back and this is deemed as a wetland or protected area, the subdivision won't.
If there's no suitable building site, then we will not endorse the subdivision. Yeah.
Okay. If there's no more discussion, I'll call a question. All those in favor?
Tracy in favor.
John in favor.
Okay, thank you. That one's carried. All right. Let's go to subdivision 11.
Okay, so this is involving the Anselmo Ag Society, and it is a proposed subdivision application to amalgamate 5 acres from an adjoining lot to the to Plan 1023261 Block 1 Lot 1 to create an 11.94. I believe it's already 6.94. Yes, that's true. It is an A1 parcel, and that leaves the density at 3 parcels per quarter section. We're not creating any new parcels. There was no concerns from infrastructure as there's no new approaches. Forestry and Parks has no concerns to date. And there are no water table testing, any of those tests required. Letters were sent to adjacent landowners with no concern received, and a number of other government agencies were referred to with no concerns. MR is not required as there is no new parcel created, and it is my recommendation that the Municipal Planning Commission approve subdivision number 2023 sub 11 in consideration of the following reasons. It's a pretty short list. Would you like me to go through those?
No.
Okay.
This, so the MPC knows what the subdivision's for. They're looking to expand their ball diamonds. We're at capacity, so the landowner has given us a good price on the lot beside it, so they can expand another diamond. With that, I would definitely be willing to approve subdivision application 2023 sub 11 with the following list of conditions.
Is there any more discussion?
Great
Not?
to see expansion.
Yeah, not, I'll call the question. All those in favor?
Tracy in favor.
John's in favor.
Okay, thank you. So that one's carried. Okay, so now the information items, those were the, so everyone kind of read through those. We'll need a motion to accept those as presented.
There are 2 information items, so we need 2 motions.
Yep. Yeah, there's 7.1, 7.2. So for 7.1, Tricia?
I'll go ahead and make the motion for 7.1 information items, that we accept the items as presented.
Hey, is there any discussion on that motion? If not, I'll call the question. All those in favor?
Tracy in favor.
John's in favor.
Okay, thank you. That motion's carried. Move on to 7.2, and that was the Code of Conduct bylaw 808-23, I believe. That is the new Code of Conduct guidelines that we just passed at council that is going to apply to these committees. I'm sure, I don't know if most of us are aware of that, so.
Oh,
Go ahead, Bruce.
I'll make a motion that Municipal Planning Committee accept the information item bylaw 608-23, council and committee's code of conduct be accepted as information.
Okay, any discussion? Not, all those in favor?
Tracy in favor.
John in favor.
Okay, thank you. That one's passed. There is no new business. The next meeting will be set at
We think November 18th is what you said?
November
It says November 15th.
15th.
15th, maybe?
Yeah.
Sorry.
We
Yeah.
just got an application in yesterday. It's not quite complete, but it will require an MPC decision on it.
Okay.
So the next meeting is likely November 15th.
Trying
Okay.
If they
to
get
pack as
their
much as I can into the
application
next
in.
meeting. So, yeah. It might be the first in December, but we will, I like to pack them in, but, because I appreciate everyone coming tonight and being flexible with our time commitments.
Okay, well, that's good. Thank you very much for everything. We just need one more motion.
Mm-hmm.
I'll make the
Patricia?
motion to adjourn.
Okay, all those in favor?
Beat me to it. I don't get to do many of those anymore.
Tracy.
Thanks, guys, for coming out and getting this done.
Thanks, everyone.
Hit the mute.